Getting Things Done. The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. By Vade Allen. A new practice for a new reality. With the societal shift to knowledge work, new behaviors and tools are required to successfully manage workflow. Allen states that a person is the most productive when the mind is clear, free of what he calls open loops. He uses the analogy of RAM on a personal computer, with the idea that too much stuff stored in a person's short-term memory can blow a fuse. His idea is that the conscious mind is a focusing tool, not a storage place. Allen says that one must write down the outcomes they wish to achieve. Then, for every outcome, one must determine the next physical action required to move the situation forward. This next physical action must be organized in a system one reviews regularly. Doing these things is the equivalent of what Allen calls horizontal focus. Getting control of your life. The 5 stages of mastering workflow. Allen explains the 5 stages of mastering workflow: to collect, process, organize, review, and do. In the collection stage, the idea is to gather all the items that remain to be completed. Collection tools include the physical in-basket, paper-based and electronic note-taking devices, voice recording devices, and email. The next is the process stage. Allen outlines this process in great detail with a complete flowchart. It asks, what is it? Is it actionable? If not, trash it, put it in a tickler file or put it in a reference file. If so, what's the next action? The next action is defined as the next physical, visible activity that needs to be engaged in order to move the current reality towards completion. Will next action take less than 2 minutes? If yes, do it. If no, delegate it or defer it. If it will take longer than 2 minutes, consider it a project. And put it in your project plans, which will be reviewed for actions. In the organize stage, Allen describes 8 categories of reminders and materials: trash, incubation tools, reference storage, list of project, storage or files for project plans and materials, a calendar, a list of reminders of next actions, and a list of reminders of things you're waiting for. Allen says a review of all one's lists, preferably weekly, is critical for success. Getting projects creatively underway, the 5 phases of project planning. This chapter is about vertical focus, the thought process behind successful project planning. Allen states that the brain goes through 5 steps to accomplish any task. It is a natural planning model, and is also effective for project planning. These steps are: defining purpose and principles. In defining purpose, one asks why? Answering this question provides the following benefits: it defines success, creates decision-making criteria, aligns resources, motivates, clarifies focus and expands options. Principles create the boundaries of the plan and define the criteria for excellence of behavior. Outcome visioning. A vision provides a picture of the final result. Brainstorming. Brainstorming identifies how one gets from here to there, through the generation of lots of ideas. Allen recommends writing down these ideas to help generate many new ones that might not have occurred had the brain not been emptied by writing down the original ideas. Organizing. In organizing, Allen describes the key steps to include: identify the significant pieces, sort by component, sequences or priorities, and detail to the required degree. Identifying next actions. Allen states that a project is sufficiently planned when every next action has been decided on every front that can actually be moved on, without some other components having to be completed first. Getting started, setting up the time, space and tools. Allen recommends setting aside 2 whole days, back to back. To get started. To set up a space, one needs a minimum of a writing surface, and room for an in-basket. A workspace is needed for work and home for everyone. Don't share the workspace with someone else. The basic processing tools include paper holding trays, plain paper, post-it, clips, stapler, letter-size file folders, a calendar, and wastebasket. A good general reference filing system is key to the success of a personal management system. Key filing success factors include: keep files at hand's reach. Use A to Z alphabetical filing system. Have lots of fresh folders. Keep the drawers less than 3/4 full. Label folders with an auto-labeler. And buy high-quality file cabinets. Collection, corralling your stuff. Alan says it usually takes between 1 and 6 hours to gather everything that needs to be gathered into one's in-basket. It's important to complete all the gathering before the processing and organizing begins. Although one will be tempted to start the processing while gathering, it's important not to do so. First, it gives one a sense of just how much stuff there is. Second, the end of the tunnel is identified. Third, one can't process as effectively with the distraction of knowing there is still more stuff to gather. The gathering process should cover one's physical space, such as desk drawers, countertops, and cabinets. Finally, once the collection phase is complete, he urges moving on to the next step, since leaving items in the inbox for too long will cause things to creep back into one's psyche. Processing, getting into empty. Processing doesn't mean getting all actions completed. It means deciding what to do with each of the items in the inbox. When this phase is complete, one will have trashed unneeded items, completed any less than 2-minute actions, delegated, put reminders in one's organizer of actions one must complete, and identified any projects. Alan provides guidelines for effective processing. First, process the top item first. Resist the urge to pull out the most urgent, fun or interesting item first. Second, process one item at a time. This focus forces the attention and decision-making needed to get through everything. Finally, never put anything back into in. As each item is reviewed, the key question is, what's the next action? If none, the item is trashed, incubated to a someday or maybe list or tickler file, or put in reference material. If there is an action, make it specific. Then do it. If it takes less than 2 minutes, delegate it, or defer it. Organizing, setting up the right buckets. Once processing is complete, one needs a way to organize the output. Alan gives the 7 primary places to keep output, and tips and tricks on making these places work. These areas include a projects list, project support material, calendared actions and information, next actions list, a waiting for list, reference material, and a someday or maybe list. These categories should be kept distinct from each other. Alan states these lists are all that one needs to stay organized, and advises against trying to prioritize among these lists. Actions that should go on the calendar are ones that must be done on a specific day or time. They may also include triggers for activating projects, events one might want to participate in, and decision catalyst. Next actions should be organized by context, such as calls, errands, and at home. The waiting for list should be reviewed often enough to determine if one needs to take any action. Items in one's read and review pile, and emails that require action are reminders themselves, and Alan recommends pulling emails requiring action to a separate folder in one's emails system. The projects list provides a single place to review all projects for needed actions. One may subdivide projects by categories such as personal or professional, and one may also identify sub-projects. Alan emphasizes there is no perfect way to track projects, one just needs to know what projects they have and how to find any associated reminders. Alan discusses project support materials and warns against using them as a reminder. Alan makes the point that it is as important to organize non-actionable data, as it is to manage action and project reminders. Reference systems include general reference filing, large category filing, Rolodexes and contact managers, and libraries and archives. Most people have 200 to 400 paper-based general reference files and 30 to 100 email reference folders. For ideas that are not ready for action, one can keep them on a someday or maybe list, trigger them on one's calendar, or put them in a tickler system. Reviewing, keeping your system functional. To keep the system working, it is key that one continues to trust the system. Trust is maintained by keeping the system up to date. One needs to decide what to look at, and when. Alan suggests the most frequent review will probably be of one's daily calendar and daily tickler folder. After these, the next actions lists should be reviewed. The key to sustaining the system is the weekly review. This process includes whatever is needed to empty one's head, and includes going through the 5 phases of workflow management. Doing, making the best action choices. Alan gives 3 models for deciding what to do at a point in time. The 4 criteria model for choosing actions in the moment uses the criteria of context, time available, energy available, and priority to make decisions. The 3-fold model for evaluating daily work presents Alan's idea that during a workday, one engages in one of 3 activities: doing predefined work, doing work as it shows up, or defining one's work. Alan asserts that the sacrifice of not doing the work you have defined on your lists, because something else came up, can be tolerated only if one knows what he's not doing. The 6-level model for reviewing your own work is presented in terms of altitude: 50,000 plus feet, life, 40,000 feet, 3 to 5 year visions, 30,000 feet, 1 to 2 year goals, 20,000 feet, areas of responsibility, 10,000 feet, current projects, runway, current actions. Each of these levels should enhance and align with the levels above it. Alan recommends starting at the bottom level. First ensuring all action lists are complete, and then working up the model. Getting projects under control. Alan digs into the vertical project level again. He indicates that formal planning tools and techniques might be overrated, and favors creative and proactive thinking. He suggests projects that may need more planning are first. And second, those for which ideas just show up. The first requires a revisit to the natural planning model. The second require tools and structures to capture those random ideas. These may include a good writing instrument, paper, easels and whiteboards, and the computer. Alan states that the very act of writing ideas down facilitates a constructive thinking process like nothing else. The power of the collection habit. In this chapter, Alan gets into the psychological aspects of his methodology, which in essence explain why his process works so well. He also discusses the benefits he has observed his clients realize over the years, including an increased level of trust with others and with oneself. He states that people feel badly about their unprocessed inboxes because the incomplete items in them represent broken agreements with themselves. To remedy this, he advises 3 choices: don't make the agreement, complete the agreement or renegotiate the agreement. He states that anything held only in psychic RAM, that is not being conscious, will carry equal weight, and many small things will create more mental stress than they deserve. He says that one should use the mind to think about things, rather than of things. He considers his methodology, real knowledge work, at a more sophisticated level. The power of the next action decision. Defining a next action for every ongoing project or commitment makes it possible to get things done even when there are just a few idle minutes available. Alan proposes that 20 minutes before the end of a meeting, one should ask, "So what's the next action here?" to increase clarity. It forces accountability, and make it easy to plan. If it is not clear what needs to be done in order to advance a project, one might be reticent to work because what is undefined can often be imagined as overwhelming, and procrastination becomes very tempting. Finally, this question presupposes there is the possibility of change and that one can do something to make it happen, which is empowering. The power of outcome focusing. Alan says even the slightest increase in the use of natural planning can bring significant improvement. He lauds the ability to envision success, when how to achieve it is still unclear. Being able to generate lots of ideas, both good and bad, is a critical piece of creative intelligence. Organizing ideas is a necessary mental discipline. Finally, choosing and taking next actions are the essence of productivity. Effectively applying these techniques is described as perhaps the major component of professional competence for the new millennium. What is the core message that we got from this book? You can get the control of your life through the 5 stages of mastering workflow: collection, processing, organizing, reviewing, doing. One should be one's most productive self. One must be able to think clearly. In order to think clearly, one must have completely downloaded from one's short-term memory all the open loops. This frees the mind to do naturally what it does best. Once one has everything off his mind and written down, in paper or electronically, one has to decide, what's the next action? This is the critical question. Once this is decided, the action must be completed or tracked in a trusted system. Alan also has a 2-minute rule, according to which any next action that can be completed in 2 minutes or less should be completed immediately. Applying Alan's system is put forth as a way for today's knowledge worker to have a competitive edge in the new millennium.